It was a dark time in Israel. The people had turned away from God. Corruption filled the land, and even the priests at the tabernacle in Shiloh had become greedy and immoral. But God, as He always does, had a plan, and that plan began with a desperate woman named Hannah. Ear of rice, a mother's prayer. Hannah was barren. Every year, she and her husband Elkanah would travel to the tabernacle in Shiloh to worship and offer sacrifices. And every year, she would weep bitterly because she had no child. One year, she knelt silently before God, her lips moving but no sound coming out. Her prayer was deep and raw. Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me, and give me a son, then I will give him to you for all the days of his life. The old priest Eli, watching her, misunderstood and thought she was drunk. But when she explained her sorrow, Eli blessed her. And not long after, Hannah gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, meaning God has heard. Baby dedicated to God. When Samuel was still a small boy, Hannah kept her promise. She brought him to the tabernacle and handed him over to Eli to be raised in the house of God. Imagine that moment, the child, maybe only 3 or 4, watching his mother walk away. Samuel didn't grow up like other children. He spent his days near the Ark of God, learning the rituals, sweeping the floors, lighting the lamps. But something was different about him. There was a quietness, a sincerity, a deep presence of God around this little boy. Crescent moon. Samuel. Samuel. One night, as Samuel lay asleep in the temple, he heard a voice, Samuel. He sat up and ran to Eli. Here I am. You called me. But Eli hadn't called. This happened 3 times. On the 3rd time, Eli realized something sacred was happening. Go and lie down, he said, and if he calls you again, say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Samuel did as he was told. And then it happened again, Samuel. Samuel. This time, he answered, Speak, Lord. Your servant is listening. That night, God gave young Samuel a heavy message. Judgment was coming to Eli's household because of the sins of his sons. In the morning, Samuel was afraid to tell Eli, but the old priest gently urged him. When he heard the truth, Eli simply said, He is the Lord. Let him do what is good in his eyes. From that day on, Samuel became a prophet, God's voice in a time when his voice was rarely heard. Samuel grew into a strong, respected prophet. All Israel knew that the Lord was with him. He traveled from town to town, judging disputes, teaching God's laws, and calling people back to righteousness. But the people wanted something else. They cried out to Samuel, Give us a king to lead us, like the other nations. Samuel was heartbroken. They were rejecting God as their king. But God told him to listen to the people. So Samuel warned them, A king will take your sons for war, your daughters for labor. He will take your fields and your flocks. You will become his servants. Still, the people insisted. So God chose a man, Saul, tall and impressive. Samuel anointed him with oil and declared him king. But Saul's pride and disobedience would eventually lead to his downfall. And when God rejected Saul, Samuel mourned deeply. Then one day, God said to Samuel, Fill your horn with oil and go to Bethlehem. I have chosen one of Jesse's sons to be king. In secret, Samuel traveled to Jesse's house. One by one, Jesse brought out his sons, strong, tall, confident men. Finally, Jesse called in his youngest, David, a shepherd boy, ruddy and handsome, smelling of sheep. And God said, This is the one. Anoint him. Samuel anointed David in front of his family, and from that moment, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. Samuel lived to see both glory and grief. He saw kings rise and fall. He stood alone when everyone else was silent. He heard God when others couldn't. And though he died before David ever took the throne, his legacy lived on in the heart of Israel's greatest king. Samuel's story is a reminder that God still speaks, and sometimes, the most powerful voices come from the quietest hearts.